Hello, everyone. This is Scott Montgomery of the Small Town Mercer. Today, I've noticed that over the weekend, I've watched a few of these stories yet again, and what they tend to come to is, there's this argument, more or less, in I think in the philosophical conservative world, I'm going to call it, and generally you have this argument between the people who are very favorable opponents of the gold standard and favorable opponents of cryptocurrency, or in general, they like both but tend to favor one over the other. And the reasons they like to do that are that they're both, I would say, they're both fairly conservative, what is referred to as the Austrian School of Economics type philosophy, which means that sound money, inflation is a threat, that type of thing. And a lot of them don't like fiat currency because they don't think it has much value. They point to the 1971 um, removing currencies from the gold standard as a death knell to fiat currency. All of these philosophies I tend to subscribe to and agree with. However, there is one thing that I want to mention today that I think that tends to get missed in these conversations, and that is which currency really is the stronger currency, and what are the issues with that. So I'm gonna get into that. I put up an illustration on the board, and so my lecture today, money and value, gold versus cryptocurrency. I'm going to throw fiat in there as well, and I'll go over that first. And so what I did was I put the properties of money that most people generally agree with are that's what money is. Okay, what is money? A lot of people would say, well, if it's not really money, it's more or less currency. And so I'm going to go over those steps, and we'll see how that works out. Okay, so I got a red pen here and a green pen. So I told you my colored pens were coming. So first of all, I'm going to go over fiat currency right here. And I'm going to put an X or a check mark whether or not I think these are true or false of the particular currency or money form. All right? So, first of all, what is durability? Well, very simply, durability is if you had a form of money and maybe 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, um, would you have that same money and be able to spend it? In other words, is it physically going to fall apart? Is it recognizable as a currency? Is it probably more valuable older than it was newer? Those type of things. So, but more importantly, we're worried about, can you carry it around? Is it going to dissolve in your pocket? In other words, if you put cereal in your pocket and used it as currency, is it going to be, around in 5 years, 10 years? Or sugar or things like that, or tobacco. You know, like back in the early continental days of the United States, in Virginia, tobacco was used as currency. Well, do you think tobacco is going to keep for 5, 10 years? I'm sure bugs will get in it or whatever. But the other factor of durability is value. Is this thing going to be more valuable or less valuable going forward? All right. Um, like today's paper dollar bill. Today's paper dollar bill, they tend to fade and wear out. That's true. But is today's paper dollar bill going to be, if you had a $10 bill today and went to the store and bought something, could you buy that same item, let's say 30, 40, 50 years from now, for that $10 bill? That's another issue that we have to discuss. So, for the most part, I would say that our money, fiat currency, is generally durable. I don't know. You can put comments down below if you disagree, but I would say it's generally durable. Is it divisible? Yes. What's divisibility? Divisibility means that you can have what? Um, Lesser forms of the same thing, right? So you can have a $10 bill, $5 bill, a $1 bill, 50 cents. What do we have? Half dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. It's divisible. Is it recognizable? If you went somewhere, people would they know that it's a dollar? Would they know it had value? Like if you took your cereal, would that be valuable somewhere else? Especially in areas where they don't eat cereal. I don't know. I would think that the fiat currency would get a big check mark there, right? Okay, portability. What about that? Yeah, portable. Carry it around with you. I'm going to give it kind of a half check because what's the problem with the dollar bill, let's say? I'm not talking about fiat currency in general, but it depends on what fiat currency. Like if I went to, I don't know, Germany. Well, let's say Russia. Let's say I went to Russia and I came back and I went to the store and I got a bunch of groceries and I put a bunch of rubles on the table. Or I went to China and got yuan or dinars from the Middle East. Would they be as valuable? No, they would not. Similarly, if I took a dollar bill to Europe or England and there was an item that cost £3 and I gave them a $5 bill, I don't know if they would take it or not. Depends if they're a high tourist area or not, they might, but for the most part, no, they're not going to take it. So I would have to give it about a half mark there because you've got to transition your money into another currency, usually at a price. So it's not that portable. Scarce. Is it scarce? Well, no. Is it scarce? No. Didn't we just pass a stimulus bill? Yes. 1.2 trillion. Where'd that come from? Well, look at one of my previous videos that show you where money comes from. I did a whole video on Michael Maloney's presentation of where money comes from. I suggest you watch either his video or the one I did and that presents his case. So for our fiat money, I would more or less say that it gets 3.5 points, and it needs, in my view, it needs at least 4 out of 5. I would call this currency, which means I put it in red because currency generally loses value. If your house, you live in a nice house today, it's a beautiful home, fairly new, it's sturdy, strong. It's worth about $350,000 where you live currently today. Is that house going to be worth $350,000 10 years from now? 15 years from now? Are similar houses to your house that are newer in your area, do you think they're going to be worth 350,000, 375,000, 400,000? No, I don't think that. I don't think a lot of people do think that. So probably 500, 600, 700,000, right? So no, I don't think so. I think the dollar currency, the fiat currency, is slipping, and I think it's slipping everywhere. Not just here in this country, but whatever go to Sweden and have kronas, or go to the North Pole and have penguins. I don't know, but they're not gaining in value. Maybe if you had actual penguins, they would probably be just as valuable, but probably not. So we're going to call that currency. What about gold? Well, let's go down the list. Is gold durable? Well, yeah. I have gold coins that are 100 years old, a couple of them. So that's pretty durable. Are they as valuable now as they were then? Probably more so. Just saying. I'm going to give that one a big check mark. I'm going to come back to divisibility. Is it recognizable? Yeah. This one's not going to take long. Portable? Yeah. Is it scarce? It is fairly scarce, I would say. I'm not going to give it a partial red check mark. Not a lot of it is mined every year, but they do find more gold every year, just not a lot of it. So I'm going to give it a check mark. And then I'm going to go and guess what? I'm going to do this with cryptocurrency. Is it durable? Well, the jury's still out on that. But as far as I put Bitcoin in here, well, they've been around 12 years and it keeps gaining in value. So I'm going to give it a check mark for now. And again, a lot of people can disagree with that and make a comment about that. And that's what I want. I want people to go on my site and make a comment and disagree with me, because that's what I'm trying to get at this. I believe it. I believe it's past the test of time. If you'd asked me this 5 years ago, I'd have said no. I would have given that a big red check mark. How about this summer? Last summer, I mean, excuse me, 9 months ago. Yeah, I probably would have. It was down to $5,000 when it was up higher than that. And I'm like, this thing goes up and down like a jump rope. You know, I don't think that's very stable, but it stood the test of time. I mean, it wasn't very valuable 8, 9 years ago, but it is now. It's been around. And it's only getting stronger. So I'm going to have to give it a green check mark. That's why I'm doing these videos, because I'm seeing that this is the trend now. It took me a long time to come over to this side. I'm thinking, no, I was a gold standard guy. I was thinking we needed to shape up our economy. I was excited when somebody like a Donald Trump, a businessman, got elected, because I thought, okay, and he did the business thing, and I'm like, great, and he actually accomplished. He was able to accomplish a lot, get more jobs here that were going overseas. He got the unemployment down, and for a short period of time, he got inflation down. But he was operating in the fiat world. And in the fiat world, there are costs when you do things like that. And the costs are that the money generators lose money. And I'm sorry, but in this country, when the money generators lose money and the masses, the people get money, the people who really control this country are going to make it seem like just the opposite happened. And they're going to hammer it and hammer it and hammer it and hammer it and hammer it. And since they own about 95% of all the media outlets, the masses tend to believe the lies that are told about saving money and going back to sound, hard currency solutions, because they don't think that things are going to get cheaper if you use fiscal responsibility. Everybody believes that currency, our currency in particular, is going to inflate. And going back in time and leaving the spending and credit system is going to cause a depression, and most people believe that. So the only thing I can say is that, well, as if I thought that when Trump was doing his policies that, okay, they were going to work out, but for the most part, not completely, but for the most part. But as time went along, I began to realize that we needed a new system, because there's too much to lose. There's a lot of truth to the fact that a lot of the moneyed people who run our society would lose money, and that would cause, eventually, it would cause a recession. So simply because they wouldn't make money, and they are the generators of income, I believe. So let me turn to cryptocurrency. Yes, it's durable. Is it divisible? We'll get back to that. Is it recognizable? Well, it is. If you're on the computer, you look at the value. Is it portable? Well, if you have a computer, it's portable. Is it scarce? Bitcoin is scarce. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin, believe it or not. Okay, so then divisibility, and that's how I'm going to end this video. Divisibility. Is Bitcoin divisible? Yes. Is gold divisible? Yes. Gold is a physical divisibility, right? You can chip off pieces of gold. You can make a 1/10 of an ounce coin of gold. You can make a 20th ounce, whatever, gold. Bitcoin is the same way. They have these Satoshis that are fractions of Bitcoin you can buy or sell. That's fine. Now here's the question though. And this is the question. I'm already going to put down there. They've already answered my question about, is this money? Yes, it's money. Now here's the question I have. And this is something that I made this video. The reason I made this video is not necessarily to answer this question. It's to answer this question, the divisibility portion. And here's why I say that's a big deal. And I've often said this in other videos, or I've said it a few times anyway in other videos. Do you really want to go to the store and pay for your groceries with gold? Probably not. Why? Because for one simple reason, and I'm going to put this in blue. Our brain. Our brain thinks in dollar bills. Our brain does not think in actual value. If you were to take actual value, I would say that gold, definitely divisible. I would say Bitcoin is super divisible, giving Bitcoin the win. Why would I say that? Because there's going to be a day where I believe there will not be a dollar or any any fiat currency. There will be very few cryptocurrencies. I believe Bitcoin would be like gold. I believe something like Ethereum or some other current cryptocurrency, whatever that may be, whether it be the what we call stable coins like DAI or Tether or one of those, or Cardano or some highly technological thing that's yet to come about. You know, whether it be stacks or some of these things I throw out here, polka dot type stuff, those type of innovations, or whether there's going to be another innovation come along that's better than all of them. Maybe the next version of Ethereum. I don't know. But I don't know that you're going to want to break up in the divisibility aspect. I don't know that you're going to want to value Bitcoin with dollars, because then you realize that there's no difference between, let's say, Bitcoin or gold. And if you think that, well, Bitcoin is only a digital computerized asset, and therefore, if you're thinking that someday we're not going to have computers, then okay, gold is the winner. But if we're always going to have computerized technology and that kind of world, as long as we do that, then Bitcoin is the clear winner. It's just, how do you divide Bitcoin? Do you make it worth Ethereum, ETH? Do you make it worth, I mean, how do you pair it? Do you pair it against gold in value, or do both? The problem is, I don't know that you can spend gold in a digital world. I don't know that you can get gold out of the ATM even. I don't know that you want to write a check against gold. I don't know that you want to against Bitcoin either. But if you owned Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was worth, let's say, 50 to 100,000 times more than Ethereum, and you can spend Ethereum, which currently I don't think has a finite amount, then fine. If you want to use gold to borrow Ethereum, or use Bitcoin to borrow Ethereum, yeah. Right now, Ethereum is almost the same price as gold. So, when you look at price as a value, that tells you everything right there. But if you're going to use computerized digital assets, and I already did a video about why I wouldn't consider using Fed coins or things like that, or yuan coin or whatever, the government coins. Those are digital assets. Those are not cryptocurrencies. I'm here to say cryptocurrencies because cryptocurrencies are generally the same value all over the world. If something costs 500 Ethereum, let's say a refrigerator. If I bought that refrigerator in New York and I bought that same refrigerator in Berlin, it's still 5,000 Ethereum. It's still 5,000 Ethereum in Hong Kong. So that's what I'm getting at, or roughly around. Maybe it's $49.99, $49.90, whatever. I'm talking about a huge price difference. That's not going to be the case, and that's how I view this issue. So when people want to say, well, gold is more valuable, well, gold has a history of more than $5,000, and Bitcoin's got a history of 12 years, or 5,000 years versus 12 years. Well, are we using computers today or not? Do you pay with your cell phone, your card? A card could be tied to Bitcoin too, or Ethereum or whatever. Remember, you're the bank now. In the crypto world, you're the bank. So you can borrow like against Bitcoin. Like you can take a second mortgage out if you had let's say you had a $20 million property and you owned it. You didn't owe anything on it. You could borrow $1 million and live on that for 10, 20, 30 years, let's say. And all the while, if you're getting some kind of income, pay it back. Or maybe the value of the house goes up. Maybe you won't have to pay it back. Maybe you just borrow another million and pay the first one back and then live off the rest of that while you're paying that off. I would always say put 500,000 in the bank and put in your personal account and pay off your loan with that money and live off the other 500. And then by the time you're dead, who cares, right? Well, your property could probably be sold for 30 or 40 million by then. We hope anyway. So that's the thinking here. And that's why I made this video. I want people to start thinking that don't value things in dollars, because then the price goes down, the currency goes up, and then you think in terms of speculation. I want you to think in terms of value of this system and how equal it's going to make everyone, and how involatile this money will be. And then we can go about our lives knowing what things cost, what things really cost, instead of having the government have to support you and me and everybody else, which they rarely do. All right? Anyway, that's my video for today. I thank you for listening to me. I think I ranted a little too long, but I apologize for that. So this has been Scott Montgomery with the Small Town Mercer. Blessings and have a good day.